Hey, what is up? We are back. And you want to know what's amazing about today? Something that's amazing about today is that we're not talking about Percy Jackson. We're done with Percy Jackson. And I mean that in no disrespectful way. I just feel like I have been making those videos for so long. I'm gonna start trying to, well, it's not like I haven't been trying. I am going to start getting more videos out quicker because I have many to do, and so I just need to do them. No promises that they're going to be uber short. Like, if I somehow found 20 minutes of time to talk about a couple of the Percy Jackson books, like, I can't even imagine the length at which I will talk about these books that I actually really, really love. So that's just a little bit of a fair warning. Put me on 2x speed or something because it's about to get crazy. I hope everybody had a good week, though. My week was pretty good, but you don't want to hear about it, and that's okay. You're here to hear about the Song of Achilles. That is the book that we're reading today. Am I holding that too close? The Song of Achilles. So yes, we're not talking about Percy Jackson like the last 5 videos, but we are still talking about Greek mythology. If you didn't know that that's what the Song of Achilles was about, now you do. I do one thing about this book before we even start talking about it. It's like, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. This cover is just not very good, though. So it's like, then what? You know? Maybe that's just me. I don't really like it. Which is unfortunate, but I guess it does its job. It acts as a cover. This is written by Madeline Miller. It was published in 2011. It was Madeline Miller's first novel, and it is, I think I have it written down, 369 pages long. This book, it is actually probably one of my favorite reads this year. It's amazing. It is amazing. So we're going to start off this video by saying, who would I recommend this book to? Everybody. I think I'd recommend this book to any and everybody. Just because, well, the writing is so beautiful. Madeline Miller, I don't know how this is her first novel because it is like actually astounding how good the writing is. Oh, it just paints. Though it's like, yes, writing is artwork because here is a piece of art. You don't get that with every book. And I haven't read any of her other books. I feel like I kind of need to now. I kind of want to. Like, I think she has one that's just called Circe. That's now on the list. We read this. I read this with like a little group of friends. I think there's 4 of us. We read it together. And I was pleasantly blown away. Somebody had recommended it to me, and one thing about me is that if you recommend me a book, I'll read it. It may take me years to get around to reading it, but it'll end up getting read. Okay, let me talk about what the story is about. So buckle in. The story, and I won't spoil anything now. I'll let you know when I spoil. So if you're coming to like get my book review, here's the review before the spoilers. It follows, obviously Achilles is in this story, but the narrator, the person who tells the story, his name is Patroclus. And Patroclus, and this all takes place back in, yes, ancient Greek days. It's like right before the Trojan horse happens. Like not right before, but like kind of right before. Maybe like 20 years before the Trojan horse. And it is obviously mythological. The Madeline Miller derives this story from the Odyssey, I believe. And she did like a whole bunch of research on it. I think what she graduated college from was like ancient Greek studies. She is from Philadelphia, has bachelor's and master's degrees in Latin and ancient Greek from Brown University. So there you go. She kind of knows what she's talking about, and she decided to take, it's like a modern day like Odyssey retelling, but it focuses just on a little bit of what's mentioned in the Odyssey. And Patroclus is this, it follows from his boyhood. And this still isn't a spoiler, I'm just setting the groundwork for the whole story. I don't know how old he is, but he's maybe like 12. Something happens and he accidentally ends up killing another boy, and he has to be exiled to, and I'm really bad at all these Greek names, but it's like Pythia or something like that. And that's where Patroclus meets Achilles. And Achilles is the son of a king and like a sea nymph. So he's like kind of like a demigod in a way. And he is like, there's prophecy around him where he's supposed to be the next greatest warrior. And yeah, that's the groundwork. And when I was telling somebody that was reading this, they were like, oh, isn't that about like a couple of gay Greek boys? And it's like, well, yes, but no. Like, the story is so much deeper than that. Patroclus and Achilles do have feelings for one another. So if that's something that bothers you, then obviously I wouldn't recommend the book to you. But the story is so rich. It's crazy. Okay, so now you know my little spiel on it. I would highly recommend this book. I really would. So, and now I'm going to kind of get into some spoiler territory. I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end because it's the best part. It is so good. And so basically what happens, so if you're not wanting any spoilers of the storyline, please exit the video now. But what ends up happening is Achilles' mom, Thetis, or Thetis, I don't know how to say all these names, Thetis, Thetis, doesn't like that Achilles and Patroclus are getting so close. And so she sends Achilles off to get trained by Chiron, who in the Percy Jackson series was like the leader of the little camp for training all the demigods. But in this story, he trains more like the heroes one-on-one. And since Achilles was prophesied to be this great hero, he goes and he gets trained by Chiron in like a distant place. Okay, so the mom tries to separate Achilles and Patroclus. But Patroclus escapes from Pythia, I don't know how to say it. And he goes and he finds Achilles, and they end up actually getting trained together. And at this point, I think they had like kissed or something like that. I don't know. But this is kind of when they grow up. I think they're together 3 years being trained by Chiron. And a war happens. It's like Helen, I think she's a queen somewhere, gets kidnapped and taken to Troy. And so this guy named Agamemnon is trying to just get everybody together to help with the war efforts to get Helen back. And Patroclus and Achilles stay out of it for a long time. It's prophesied. This is another prophecy. That's something that I like about this book too, is that there's like prophecy, but it's like written, it's like woven in such an ingenious way. I don't even know, like, the writing is just beautiful. That's like my big thing. Yes, the story is amazing, but the writing is just beautiful. It is prophesied that as soon as Hector is killed, there's this guy who's a Trojan named Hector. When he dies, that signals that Achilles is going to die too, or something along those lines. And so Hector's obviously fighting in this battle. Thetis doesn't want her son to go and fight in the battle, have Hector die, and then have Achilles die too. So she's trying to like preserve his life. She sends him to another place, and I don't really know, well, I do know, but he dresses like a girl to hide, and he's like one of like the court dancers, I guess. And he's discovered by Agamemnon and another guy. It might be Odysseus, but I can't remember for sure. And I'm pretty sure Agamemnon is there. Whatever. Whoever it is, they discover that he's there, and they're like, hey, you gotta come fight. And so Patroclus obviously has to fight as well, because he's a man of the proper age, I guess, or something. He like made an oath. Anyway, whatever it is, he has to go. And so Achilles goes as well. And there is some tension between Achilles and Agamemnon for like a lot of reasons. One of them, so they're now in Troy, or like they're in the Battle of Troy. Also, speaking of, I haven't seen the movie Troy, but I was told that I need to watch that, so maybe I'll get around to doing that at some point. But they are now at war, okay? And they see Hector often, but they don't. Obviously, Achilles doesn't want to kill him, because then it's like he's gonna die. So he's kind of like preserving his life. He wants to stay with Patroclus as long as he can. He doesn't want to end what they have short, and he also obviously doesn't want to just die. But Hector is kind of like, nobody else could take him in battle except for Achilles. So now they're kind of in this stalemate. Let me back up just 1 second. There is this girl named Briseis. She is one of the first war, I guess she'd be like a war trophy. All these guys, there's the Trojans and there's the Achaeans or something like that. I don't know how to say it, but I can picture the word in my mind. The A team and the Team Troy. T team, it starts with a T, starts with an A over here. Achaean or something like that. And Team A wins a couple wars around the city of Troy. The city of Troy is obviously walled. The Trojan horse is later sent into the walled city, and yeah, anyway. So they're kind of decimating like all of the people around the walled city. And as a war prize, they get this girl. Her name is Briseis. And Achilles chooses her as his war prize. They kind of go around in like their little groups that they're in. Patroclus and Achilles are a group. Agamemnon and his people are a group. Odysseus and his people are a group. There's like different kind of factions within Team A. And Achilles chooses Briseis as his war prize so that Agamemnon doesn't get her. Okay, so there's some friction happening later on. Literally, they're in this stalemate because Achilles won't fight Hector for like 10 years. 10 years. And Team A and Team T are both losing people. People are just dying and dying and dying. And Achilles still refuses to fight. Okay? Agamemnon, one of these days, I can't remember exactly how it happens, but he chooses to take Briseis back from Achilles. I can't remember exactly how that went down, but I know that she gets taken from him. And during this time too, Achilles and Briseis are obviously not friends. Like, Achilles had just killed her whole little village and plundered and looted everything. But Patroclus doesn't really fight in the war. Like, at the beginning, like, yeah, he'd dress up and he would just kind of stand out there in all the armor. But eventually it's like, Achilles is like, hey, you don't even have to come if you don't want. And he's like, I don't want. So he stays back. Him and Briseis start talking, and it's like almost romantic between the two of them. I think there's even a point where it's like, Briseis was like, do you ever envision your future life with kids? And Patroclus is like, I think I'd really like to have a kid. And she's like, somehow kind of like, I would like to be the mother. And this, like, they're so, like, And the way that it's written is just so well done. I'm going to read you an excerpt here in a second, but there's kind of some jealousy between Achilles and Briseis because Patroclus really likes both of them, kind of in different ways, but yeah. Anyway, what else? So they're doing the thing. Why did I lose my train of thought? What happened? So Agamemnon takes her back, and Achilles is like, you want to know what? Is that I'm not even going to fight anymore. Like, I'll just let you fight. And they're all like, what? And so he just lets them kind of get decimated at the end there. And he wants Agamemnon to make a big public apology for what he did. And Agamemnon's not going to do that because he has too much pride. And Achilles is not going to accept Briseis back, even under the table, because he wants that big apology, because he has too much pride too. And so it's the pride. Let me close my door. So it is basically the pride of the both of them that is just leading to so much chaos. And yeah, Patroclus had gotten close with a lot of the warriors because he worked kind of as a camp medic instead of being out there on the war field. And so he's like, they hatch this great idea. Patroclus goes, let me go in your armor to the battlefield. Like, I'll go out into the battlefield. People will realize that Achilles is back. They'll be so frightened that we'll just be able to overtake them. You won't have to fight. And you'll, just like your name will help save the day. And Achilles is like, okay. He says, okay. He lets Patroclus go out into battle. And Achilles is like, do not throw a spear. Because if you throw a spear and it's not like me, people will know that I'm not actually out there, and do not get hurt. So they're out there, he's in a chariot, and people are like, oh my gosh, Achilles is back. People are like running away because Achilles is like the best warrior that there ever was. And you want to know what Patroclus does? And this is big spoiler now. So we're in big spoiler territory. So if you're watching up to this point and you're okay with the little spoilers, now here we are in the thick of it. So turn away. He throws a spear, but it is like, I don't even know, like Zeus must have blessed that spear because it was perfect. Like, they were saying like not even Achilles could have thrown a spear like that. Actually, I don't know if they said that. I kind of just made that up. But it was perfect. And it just like kills a guy immediately. And he just starts throwing spears. And all these guys are going down. And it's just crazy. He gets to the wall of Troy, okay? And Apollo, the god Apollo, is there, or like something happens. And Apollo like reveals that it's Patroclus under all those clothes. It's not Achilles. Patroclus falls down the wall and Hector is there. And I'm not going to tell you what happens. I'm not going to tell you. But it is so good. Actually, I will tell you because I have to, because the excerpt I want to read is after the fact. Hector kills Patroclus, and they bring his body back to Achilles. And Achilles is so sad. And so Achilles goes on this little revenge tour, and he is destroying everything. He kills Hector. He's like, it doesn't even matter if I die anymore. Like, there's no point in being alive. And he does die in the end, too. Oh, it is just so sad. And Achilles has a son, and his son refuses to believe that his dad was, like, had Patroclus kind of as his, lover, I guess, or I don't know what like the proper word for that is, but and so he doesn't write Patroclus' name on his dad's tomb. And so Patroclus' spirit is kind of just out and about. He's still narrating even after he's dead. It's like kind of like a shadow of him. It's just telling you what's happened because he hasn't been properly entombed, so his spirit can't go to wherever the spirits go. And it's him and it's Thetis at the end, the mom who never liked him, and he tells all about Achilles. He's like just telling Achilles' mom all about Achilles and how much he just loved him, and it's just crazy. Oh, it is so beautifully, beautifully done. And Thetis is the one that actually ends up writing Patroclus' name on her own son's tomb. So they're able to reunite in the afterlife. You guys, it's a great story. It's a beautiful, beautiful story. Let me read you just a couple things and then I'll end. Here's just a little conversation. Patroclus goes, "Do you not fear that the men will hate you?" And Achilles says, "They should hate Agamemnon. It is his pride that kills him." And Patroclus thinks in his mind, "And yours." Just crazy. Pride is the true killer. They bring Patroclus' body back to Achilles, and Achilles... it says, Achilles' eyes lift. They are bloodshot and dead. I wish he had let you all die. He's talking to the people that brought him back. Briseis is talking to him too. This is my last excerpt that I'll read and then I'll end. But it says, "You care more for him in death than in life. Her voice is bitter with grief. How could you have let him go? You knew he could not fight." Achilles screams and shatters a serving bowl. "Get out." Briseis does not flinch. "Kill me. It will not bring him back. He was worth 10 of you. 10, and you sent him to his death. The sound that comes from him is hardly human. I tried to stop him. I told him not to leave the beach. You are the one who made him go." Briseis steps towards him. "He fought to save you and your darling reputation because he could not bear to see you suffer." Achilles buries his face in his hands, but she does not relent. "You have never deserved him. I do not know why he ever loved you. You care only for yourself." Achilles' gaze lifts to meet hers. She is afraid, but does not draw back. "I hope that Hector kills you." The breath rasps in his throat. "Do you think I do not hope the same?" he asks. It's just wild. Like, the story, it's one that, like, you'd never know. Like, everybody's heard of Achilles, but nobody's ever heard his story. And it's just crazy, you guys. I'd highly, highly recommend. I don't know if I can say that enough. But that was my little review on it. If you've read it before, please leave a comment. Like, we're out of Percy Jackson. We can now talk about kind of whatever we want. Leave me a comment of a book you want me to read, and I'll read it. I promise. It might take years. So here's your warning now, but I will read it. The next book that I will be reviewing is called A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. And that book just messed me up. So we have some things to get into next time. I hope you enjoyed it, though. Let me know your thoughts on the Song of Achilles. I really want to know. And yeah, this is Carson Reads. It's called Carson Reads because I'm Carson and I read. Feel free to subscribe. Have the best week ever. I'll see you soon. And that's a promise. Ciao.